everyone, and welcome to another executive interview where we delve into groundbreaking ventures that are shaping today's industries. And today we are privileged to host James Graham, the CEO of Recce Pharmaceuticals, ASX ticker RCE, a company that is revolutionizing healthcare with its new class of synthetic anti-infectives. James, it's great to have you here today.
Great to be here.
Amazing. Now, Recce Pharmaceuticals is tackling the urgent global threat of antibiotic-resistant superbugs. So, James, could you shed some light on what sets your new class of synthetic anti-infectives apart from existing solutions and why it's an enticing investment in this market?
Yeah, look, at the antibiotic market as a whole, there hasn't been a new class of antibiotics in over 40 years. In fact, Pew Charitable Trusts, who monitor the global antibiotic pipeline, recognised our compound as clinically the most advanced new class of antibiotics anywhere in the world at this time, the most capable against what's called escape pathogens, or the suite of the most deadly bacterial species, and clinically the most advanced sepsis drug candidate in the world at this time, which coincidentally the FDA has a qualified infectious disease designation for, giving 10 years of market exclusivity above and beyond our patent position. So what it really means is our compound works and keeps on working with repeated use because of the mechanisms of action built into it, rather than those natural processes found within nature, which all existing antibiotics are founded upon.
Absolutely. That's indeed very fascinating. Now, can you tell us how far along are Recce 3 to 7 and Recce 5 to 9 in clinical trials? And if you could also highlight any key milestones that demonstrate the efficacy in treating bacterial and viral infections?
Yeah, look, where do I begin? We take a portfolio approach. So a lot of times in biotechs, it's a one-trick pony for one indication. It fails, everybody fails. We have compounds across a portfolio of unmet medical needs for large patient populations. So being clinical stage candidates, we have clinically the most advanced sepsis drug candidate in the world at this time, where we've completed a phase 1 study demonstrating our compound over a 1-hour IV infusion, so the most invasive method of administration, to be safe and well tolerated up to and including 6,000 milligrams, so 6 grams of raw material in your human vein, because the nexus of sepsis is blood poisoning. We aim to position as that first line therapy for that, so stopping bacteria in its tracks on first patient presentation. Running in parallel to that program, we have a urinary tract infection program going where we've completed a 1B study, about to launch a 2A. And what that really is focused upon, when you think of sepsis of 30% of all patients, of a whole, 30% come from an underlying urinary tract. So we're looking to own that entire early infection space through to the all-out septic space. In our topical applications, we're actually running Australia's largest diabetic foot infection study at this moment, where we've dosed many patients. I have the data, I can't share the data yet, but I'm sure if it's aligned to anything to do with our special access scheme use patients, which we've clearly announced, I think one would look forward to a future of what that could hold. We're also advancing with our surrounding programs, so we completed a stage 1. By stage 1, it's the stage 1 of a phase 2 proof of concept topical burn wound program led by Professor Fiona Wood and colleagues out of West Australian Teaching Hospital, and a number of very advanced preclinical candidates likely to step in to become clinical candidates at this time. So in answering your question, what does that mean from a milestone perspective? It means we're very busy, and very busy in key areas, which provides the upside opportunities of near-term clinical results, whilst protecting the downside realities of we might not we might not succeed in every way, but if we get one, it's one worth being part of.
Yeah, that's very well said, James. Now, the recent Canadian patent win is very significant. So how does this align with Recce's global strategy for IP protection? And are there any regions that you're targeting with similar advancements?
Yeah, look, absolutely. So this space is the intellectual property space we're in is a land grab opportunity. So the space particularly is synthetic polymeric antibiotics. Globally, we have composition of matter patents, method of manufacture, curative claims being curing infections, preventative claims preventing infections, viral claims, particularly enveloped viruses because of the proteinaceous nature. Just to make it clear, you don't use antibiotics on viruses. This is an anti-infective. And with Canada, because we get the Australian R&D rebate of 43.5 cents in the dollar, and we're one of the only companies in Australia that extends that internationally, when we do some of our studies in Canada, which we have done, not only do we get the 43.5, we get an additional 10%, so 53.5 cents in every dollar we spend in Canada on our research is supported by the government. Why do we spend it there? Because there's a major patient population, and this patent protects our market monopoly interests as a composition of matter patent now granted out to 2041. It's a long way from where we are today. Our market and manufacturing monopolies in Canada, as well as dozens of other countries around the world, are protected.
Amazing. Now, how does Recce plan to navigate regulatory pathways and commercialize its new class of anti-infectives? So could you share some insights into your strategies for market access and revenue generation?
Yeah, so we take a strategy of Australia as a brilliant place of innovation, a place that really adopts and supports early stage discoveries. So phase 1 and phase 2 studies happen in Australia, full stop. That's our strategy. We do that in all of our methods of administration. At the end of phase 2, two things normally happen, and two things are happening, by example, with us at this time. We're preparing a IND submission for the US FDA for the focus of doing a phase 3 in the United States, because it's relevant to the United States. The TGA covers here, and that's well in check. And that does two things. One, it's under the FDA's nose with the large capital markets, with the patent offices, the regulator there in the United States. And two, it really lines up the probability that if you've demonstrated in phase 1 safety, phase 2 efficacy, that phase 3, you're one step away from the market, by market revenue and distribution. Big pharma are market revenue and market distribution. And that gives rise to the potential of a joint venture, acquisition, licensing, or beyond. So it's a very normal stage for us to, from a strategy perspective, to do our phase 1, phase 2 under the regulatory environment of the TGA here in Australia, capturing that R&D rebate, and then position for the US and beyond.
Right, sounds good. Now, given the pandemic that we had, can you elaborate on the potential application of your anti-infectives in combating COVID-19, and how does this align with the company's R&D priorities?
Look, I think COVID-19 really was a shock to the system. It represented an infectious disease crisis, but many may recognise that crisis by way of the initial infection is over, but the long-term effects of long COVID have only just begun. I mean, with the rise in pneumonia infections, lung and respiratory infections, and other infections from persons suffering long COVID, which is essentially the significant breakdown of human tissue, human organs, so on and so forth, that the body is fighting, but the bacteria are winning that war. And where it comes to treating the long COVID infections, so not the virus itself, there's other companies doing that, that's going okay for them. We're focused upon the bacterial infection prevalence that comes through these long COVID cases and the significant rise of that patient population. So we work in, it's not us versus them by way of other antibiotics or other antivirals. It's us in collaboration or in support of that infectious disease mold.
Understand that. Now, looking ahead, what milestones or developments can investors anticipate in the coming years, and how does Recce's vision align with long-term growth and shareholder value?
Yeah, look, shareholder value is the fundamental principle of our company. I started as the founding investor, in fact, supporting the former global head of research of Johnson & Johnson Australasia. He was executive director there as well in his retirement, so many years after, many years since. And I invested my foundational capital then. Just in the last 12 months, I invested another $420,000 of my own money in the company. And I am as susceptible and resistant to capital raises. Nobody likes them, so myself included. So really, when it comes to value, our value is delivering on key milestones. Those milestones are I personally believe the main ones, or the ones I can talk about, are the clinical studies. Yeah. So we've done our phase 1A safety dosing, safe and well tolerated. We're now doing a 1B, a faster infusion, to rather than just be hospitals, be the entire patient treatment model from the GP setting, medical practice setting, through to all-out advanced patient. The diabetic foot infection study is advancing very well. I do hope to have near-term interim data out. which if successful, could be a major milestone. And from that, the ability to pivot off into other topical indications. I'd love to name them, but we better let the market name them as they become available.
Yeah.
It's the near-term opportunities of those clinical catalysts that I very much look forward to. And as a business, because we are a business, this isn't just research for research's sake, it's getting a compound through to a market.
Yeah.
It is a very active space to be in.
Amazing. That definitely, it all sounds very exciting, James. And thank you for sharing such wonderful insights about Recce's pioneering endeavors. For those who are eager to learn more about Recce Pharmaceuticals, please see the details at the side of your screen or in the description of this video. Once again, thank you, James, for coming in and sharing your wonderful insights about the work that you and your team are doing.
Thanks for having me.
Thank you.